Okay, now that we know from the prior, this is where it's starting. Now I'm just going to see, since I know that this code works, the other one pretty much has to duplicate it. So I'm going to look for differences. So I'm only concerned about cost. So I see there's two things that are of interest. One is when you save the quote, maybe it's not writing it properly, and then the other one is maybe it's not picking up the cost in the first place. So here's a subform order entry quote. So I'm gonna check that out first. Subform order entry quotes, go into design view, and I see this little box here is the one that's going to pick up the item. So let's go into, I'm going to go into the one with stop statements, so you can see where I picked up like key places where I thought the code should be looked at or compared. So let's just let this one queue up. So back to the current database. This control here is what you would click on when you're going to pick a command, or pick a part number, sorry. So I'm going to see what happens here. So item selector, that makes sense. The main thing that catches my eye, it says call item selector. So I'm going to go see what that does. And oops, I need to expand this. Okay, and here's the here it is. Now there's something important to note right off the bat. Right off the bat, I notice it says form quote item selector. Notice it says the word quote. So it's picking up this form quote item selector. So let's go. I am now in your database. Let's go down here to data entry. Now I've already put stop statements, which will show you the different contrasts. Like when I'm first just doing this, I would just have both of these databases simultaneously open and going through each code, but that would take a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, and it brings us to our first code break. So this is just doing some stuff. Okay, there's that call item selector. Okay, now I did the exact same thing. I mean, it's got to be understood that regardless of what this code says, this code is wrong, or it's doing something different. Doesn't mean it's wrong, as long as the people who wrote the code modified this properly. But you see right there, it's form orders. See, form orders item selector. And we cannot escape the fact that this one calls form quote item selector. So, okay, the real code, the original source code, calls one form. You've decided to use a different form. That's fine. As long as they do the same thing, we're still good. But that's not the case. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look at this form quote item selector, because that's going to tell me in the real company what's happening, and that's really all I care about, like what is supposed to happen. So I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to find that form quote item selector right here. So I'm going to see what should happen next, and it's probably going to happen after I select the item. So let's see if I can find I'm looking for cost, because that's really where the problem is. So I see here, it's somewhere down here. Okay, here it's sitting the cell up. I seem to have missed it. Oh, no, here it is. Okay, so what we are doing here, it says right here, you know, if it has, it's either going to set it to one of two things. Kind of covered it up, sorry. Right in this area, if the record set has a cost, so this logic here says the fun CHC cost, it's going to be equal to this calculation, and I don't really care what the calculation is. What it's saying is if it's a numeric value, it'll set it to the numeric value. I think it's $4.48. And if it doesn't exist, like if the record said false, meaning there's not a record, or it'll set it to 0. So when we hit that item selector in the subform, the fun CHC cost is either going to be a number or it's going to be 0. And that's what this code does. So we know in the other code we also have to duplicate that logic. So we have to have either a number or a 0. So is that what happens here? Let's keep going and find out. Okay, I'm not really too concerned about this. Search mode, cases. I'm really just looking for anything that looks like it might be cost. Don't care, don't care, don't care. There's fun to get line number. Maybe we're getting warmer. Okay, it didn't happen there, so I'm going to close all this out. And it doesn't happen until I pick a number. Sorry, forgot about that. So I got to pick a part. That other code that you just looked at is executed after a part is picked, just like I'm doing right now. Oops. Okay, we're gonna pick the 4.5 600. Okay, now I'm going to select the item. It's gonna go back into break mode. So here we go. It's doing some more stuff. I think we're getting in the ballpark. This is picking price. Setting a price. Okay, here's the good part. It's gonna go pick the cost, and this is what we're interested in. So here it is. It's gonna pick up the cost. It's doing a select statement. Okay, so we can see right here, I don't know how well it'll show up, but it's right there. You can see the variable. It set the cost to equal to $4.48. So right now the cost is $4.48, so it would make sense that that value would be tossed to our final detail table, the one we saw in the beginning. Again, I think I'll just crawl out of this code because, oh wait, no, I think I have to show you something else. Maybe. Unless I passed it. Sorry. Okay, I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. This right here is not in the other company. Like this logic, if then else with this this CHC cost greater than 0, and if the name equals forms orders. Throughout this section in this form, because you use the order item selector instead of the quote item selector, I can see that the programmers have made various things to distinguish that this form is now being used for two purposes. Like, for example, it says if the form name is form orders, then do this. Else, meaning else it's being used for quote, they're doing this. So they mean to apply this for quotes and this for orders. But I don't need to even understand anything to just know that this doesn't make any sense at all. We already know that the CHC cost is $4.48. We can see it right there. So this says if the cost is $4.48, then make the cost 0. How are we going to write cost if we're going to make it 0? And then if the cost is 0, then make it itself, which is the cost. The easy fix on this, and I'm not going to save this, but this is what I did in the other company. Well, I can't save it here. That'll screw up my... the easy fix on this, I'll show you later. I just changed this code. I commented out the original and then changed this code. So that's part of the problem. We've got a perfectly good $4.48, and so it writes the. I can just step out of this code at this point. So we have set that $4.48 to 0 for some reason. It's just, you know, poorly written code. So the next thing is we need to save that code. So we're gonna, save that item value to the tables, and we've got that mystery of that null. So obviously it would have put a 0 in that table, not a null. So there's something else going on. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check. There's quite a bit to step through. I'm just looking for when it's committing the detail. Like, all this stuff is fine. It's setting stuff. Oh, I did not put a part number. It's going to make me. Put a PO number. I better just step out of this. Cancel. Okay, I have to put a reference number in here. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. Now I can hit save. Okay, so once again, I'm looking for it to do the commit to the detail table. Remember that very first video we saw, the last record or column did not have the cost in there. Okay, save this new quote. Yes. Okay, so now it's actually going to save. So now it's checking for mail labels. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Commit transaction started. Okay, now this one's important. It says commit the quote. So I'm gonna look at that and the other one and see if there's any difference. Or I already went through the process of comparing these two. So it's going to tell you the quote number. Good. And now this part, it's just doing the header record. So I still don't care about this. Okay, here we go. That one right there. This query, order entry, commit quote details. That is the query that's going to write the details. So what I need to see is, what does that query look like? So I'm going to just shrink this one, and we're going to go into the one that wasn't fixed. If you recall, this one was the original source. Okay, so we're going to find that query. Query, what was it? Order entry, insert details. Oh, query order entry commit. Commit details. Query order entry. Why am I blind? Oh, there it is. Commit quote detail. I am blind. Okay. So I know there's a problem with this, because when it's committing these details, it is not putting the cost. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now that right here, it's missing the cost. And how do I know that? Let's go into the real company, the original company, and we're going to find that same query. I naturally went through the code on this one and found that it executed that very same query. And here it is, query commit order entry details. So go in the design here, and I can see order amount, CHC line number, CHC cost. I go into yours, there's CHC line number, other amount, and the cost is missing. It has to be understood that the cost was there, and this new code, it was deleted. There's no way around that. So in order to fix this, we'd have to just simply add the cost back. And once we do that, guess what? We won't get a null anymore.